thought of how the world will look like after the whole pandemic situation is under control, or what would you expect the change would be from this situation?
I definitely have noticed some increase in solidarity. Like you mentioned, people are facing a common threat really across the globe. And we also have common heroes, you could say, in our health workers. And I would just like take a moment to say thank you to all those people because they are truly the heroes of this pandemic. But yeah, this is definitely a point where we can kind of stop and inflect about how we treat each other and how we relate to the earth and the ecosystems and the other organisms that we share this planet with. And we can take a moment to stop and notice, that maybe it's nice to not have cars everywhere all the time. Maybe it's nice to have places a little bit less crowded for a while. But overall, I think it would be great if we could just realize that we really are in this together as a planet.
Yeah.
And one country's problems are really everyone's problems. And that's how we need to be thinking going into the future, because the further down the line we go, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years into the future, the more our problems are going to be global in nature. And we're already seeing that with, obviously climate change being one of the most pressing problems that our generation is facing. But now we're also seeing another, potential problem in the form of global pandemics, which unfortunately is likely to recur as a problem.
Yeah.
It's likely to happen again. And the reason for that is because of our so tightly connected global society right now, where things are constantly being shipped across the world. People are constantly flying around the globe. And that really allows something like this to spread very rapidly. But the advantage is that we are more connected than ever, and we can use that to our advantage. We can use our modern communication systems to exchange useful information in the form of science and research, and collaborate on projects that will work to mitigate some of these problems such as climate change and pandemics in the future. And one of the ways that I think we need to address the threat of pandemics is we need to have a healthy respect for the natural environment, for wildlife in particular. And we need to have a respect for the habitats of those creatures.
Yeah.
It's most likely, based on our current science, that this pandemic was caused by people interacting with wild animals in a very disrespectful way, namely, keeping them in cages in horrible conditions, to sell as a product. And that's really not acceptable in any kind of way. It's not acceptable morally, and it's not acceptable from a scientific perspective, because that kind of thing is bound to lead to another pandemic. It's happened before, it's happening right now, and it can happen again. So we do need to establish a greater level of respect for those creatures, and be willing to let them have their own space, and not intrude on that as humans.
Those are really good points. Who are the consumers of this product? Some small group of rich people. So, and this, it could be a whole another episode on how this thing is happening, but unless people stop doing, asking for this stuff, poor man wouldn't come up with the economic system to build on,
Exactly, because everyone's trying to cater to a certain kind of a business because there's some demand to it, I think. And I think now it's high time that we should start addressing whether those demands are really beneficial or whether it's really economical or whether it's sustainable.
Yeah.
Because having those exotic animals along with wild animals caged together in such haphazard conditions or inhumane conditions, I mean kept for like days and weeks till they get sold, I think that cross contamination of bacteria and viruses is bound to happen.
It's inevitable. I think maybe the most obvious that a lot of people are concerned about right now is the economic angle. It's again, even that alone is a big question, but yeah, there's going to be quite a big impact on the global economy, obviously, from this pandemic. So I think we are going to see, just to focus on the change aspect, I think we are going to see different ways of doing business in a lot of sectors. For example, more telecommuting is probably going to occur when this is over because people are getting used to it now. It was already a pretty good prospect, but now people are really getting used to it.
Right now, if you think, like, China has so much stress of outsourcing everything for any industry. So, like, every industry dependent on how this would go out. But now, because of this, I guess, in pockets and bits, it will go to different parts of the countries or different countries in general, or as you said, locally, which is, I'm kind of skeptical about that for the states in general. Like, the wages are too high, so it's just not a good business that they will do that here. But yeah, making it in Mexico or somewhere in South America, that would be interesting to see how that would go. What do you think, Varun?
Yeah, I mean, definitely interesting points you guys have put up out there. I do agree that, but I'm a bit optimistic about the economy. I do believe, or at least I would like to believe that the economy will pop up pretty sooner than later. I can see it coming back on track in in next 5 to 6 months. Because if you see the previous economic recession that happened because of a particular industry that was way overvalued, and then it crashed, and then it sucked all the other industries, other allied industries with it. So I'm very much looking forward for that part as such. The hiring will again begin. People will start getting jobs, and I think the money will start raking in.
Yeah.
Having said that, I do agree with you guys that the outsourcing model that almost all the developed countries used to especially when it comes to manufacturing products outsourcing from China. I think they will definitely go ahead and diversify that part.
Yeah,
that aspect
like,
too.
not depending on one source.
Exactly. So now they have realized that how risky the business has become, being completely dependent on a country, which is so politically there will be a lot of changes. There will be uncomfortable situations because most of the developed countries are democratic countries where China is not. So that's gonna change the whole political dynamics out there on the world on a global stage. But it's a very good opportunity for countries like say India or say Sri Lanka, Nepal, South American nations, or even South Asian nations like Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore. Those kind of countries, I think they have a better opportunity to grab some of that business that they are seeking to diversify themselves. So that's going to be interesting how things are going to change, how the economy is going to change with respect to the outsourcing model. I don't think the outsourcing model will go out so easily, but definitely that diversification will bring in new changes into the business. But having said that, in the long term, I feel that a lot of blue collar jobs are in danger. Not in danger, but they're at risk because currently, if you see a lot of people are using technology to do some of the jobs typically they were done manually by some person. Like for example, earlier we had cops surveying and monitoring areas to make sure what everything is nice. Right now, everyone is using drones out there. So this is how the future is going to be like. Now, this is a huge opportunity for these tech companies who are using drones out there. Having said that, well, but there'll be a lot of demand for population who are expert in these fields, in the fields of AI, in fields of machine learning, the fields of
User
technology.
experience design.
Yeah, I mean, design does it does get attached to all of this.
Yeah. After all the points, I would say the other side of it, like how people are behaving and how things will be changed in positive aspect. I would say that like right now we're seeing the whole global citizens, everyone is kind of binded together to let's let's try to solve this problem. Like nobody
It
is
is
like,
a
oh,
common
this
problem.
is
Yeah.
not sharing information or something. Everyone is doing everything in their power. Like right now, India is helping. I think Brazil, US, and a lot of other countries with the Sri Lanka with those some medicine
supplies.
hydro something. I forgot the name.
Hydrochloroquine.
Yeah, so that's something interesting to see that all the people are trying to help each other out. And if from the retrospect, I would say like once this is done, uh, the stuff that we are doing right now, like animals are freely out there. Like we should think about this. Like this planet is not just ours, right? We're just one teeny tiny species who just ended being intelligent and we're kind of ruling. But till this point, we didn't kind of thought about how we're treating other animals as well. So I think this is a good time to think about how our actions hurt not just other human but other species.
Yeah,
in general.
absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the big issues that led to this situation is that the whole industry of capturing wild and exotic animals and selling their body parts as a product. It's largely for rich people, and it's basically sanctioned by governments because of corruption, because these wealthy people who want to participate in this business lobby the Chinese government, for example, to allow them to continue doing this. And that kind of behavior, I think, is a problem that a lot of countries have. It's not unique to China.
Yeah,
it's a problem that we have here in the US. It's a very big problem that we do need to address. And that extends into the healthcare system in a different way. But it also involves corporations that are trying to turn a profit as large as they can, whereas the number one focus needs to be keeping people safe, keeping people healthy, and we have seen through these extreme circumstances that that's really not the highest priority in our healthcare system. So there are changes we can make to improve that.
When this whole quarantine time started, people were anxious like, oh, I don't know if we can get through sitting at home, but now people are kind of enjoying, most of people spending time with your family, friends, talking with them and everything. So maybe this would be that kind of experiment where you'll get more connected with your people and society in a different way than just going out.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? Like if we end up having this structure where some days are like stay home, that's mandatory thing.
I don't know if this if that could be done made as mandatory, because
that's why I said hypothetical.
Because then it actually infringes upon our own personal civil liberties out there. So, but definitely I can see we can have something like an Earth Day. We can also celebrate this as part of the Earth Day, where we tend to just stay indoors and just celebrate the people who worked really hard and struggled for make this place a much more safer place for us to live. So as a remembrance day, or maybe paying tribute to the people, the HCPs, the healthcare workers who are professionals who actually lost their lives saving some of the patients out there who are out right now, living their lives. I think as a remembrance day, I think that could be a very good idea to remember the people who have fought for it, people who have lost lives in it. So that's going to make. I think I would definitely like to see something like that, like a day of shutdown, maybe a week of shutdown, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
For me, I think it's going to be hard to get people to sign on to, all staying home at the same time. What I do think is that absolutely we should have more opportunities for all people to take time off from their jobs, which is paid, so they can, still have the income that they need to enjoy their life outside of work. But yeah, more paid time off, so they do have an opportunity to enjoy time with their family, even just paid sick leave. So if they are down with a cold that is contagious, they're not spreading that to others. So both of those things I think would definitely be good. So yeah, absolutely. I think that it's definitely a great idea to have for more people to have time to just enjoy the simple things, and I hope that this has been an opportunity for at least some of us to focus on those simple things that we can maybe appreciate a little more going forward.
I also read one article where Spain is seriously considering going ahead with this universal basic income model. Going ahead after once this thing gets over, they are considering people are giving.
Yeah, then people won't do stupid stuff as well. Like,
exactly, people won't be desperate to do anything.
Like working when they're sick.
Yeah.
Etc.
Because you can't blame people for that. If you don't have the economical support, then what else you gonna do?
Yeah.
So having that empathy from the government would, okay, I'm getting covered up, so I don't have to rush. If I'm really sick or really have some big issue, I can just sit home and not.
Yeah, they can sit home. They can still continue with their lives without worrying too much, or putting themselves in danger of doing something, some risky business out there.
Yeah, and most of the time it's not even about like people who have the IT jobs or tech jobs, because you get paid anyway, but it's more concerned with the
lower strata of the society.
Yes.
The lower class of the society.
Exactly, and that was something that I wanted to mention when we were talking about economic issues, is that the people who are going to be the hardest hit by this pandemic are the people with the shallowest pockets, the most marginalized people, the most impoverished people are going to be the people who suffer the most because of this pandemic. And that's a very unfortunate situation, and it's largely, it's definitely made worse by some of the policies that we have here in the US, which are not willing to stand up for those people and protect them. Providing a safety net or a floor through which people can't fall further. And I do think that because of this pandemic, we're seeing people demand that kind of a safety net be put into place. But the thing is, if we just take it away after the pandemic ends, guess what? People haven't been working for, could be almost half a year at that point. People are not going to be spending in the same way as they used to. A lot of small businesses are going to be really struggling. Much more pressing, and much more importantly, we need to help out the people at the bottom, because that's most of the people, frankly. So that's a much more important group to protect and make sure we're caring about.
And I think on this note, I would say that this pandemic has been kind of educational experience for everyone, and I hope we get through this with something more knowledgeable and wiser version of ourselves, and don't do the mistakes that we have done already, and which probably caused this and other stuff in the past. So I hope that in the future we kind of make this system as in where you think of one another when you're doing something, that it's not impacting someone in bad way. And big thanks to all the military people and medical doctors, nurses who are providing all the help. to everyone, and again to the small essential business people as well. Nobody's saying anything about them, but
support your local small business.
And thanks to all the people who are working at grocery stores and all the essential food chains as well, because you won't survive without them. So thanks to everyone. Stay safe, stay home, be healthy. That's it for today. Stay tuned. See you soon.
Peace.
Thanks for having us.